Yo, what is up, everybody?
Welcome back to Mile Higher Podcast. Today is episode 84, and we are doing a Ponder Sesh because this was highly requested from you guys, actually.
And it's actually one of our favorite episodes to do, I think.
Yes. Oh, definitely.
Because we get to talk about so many different things during one episode.
Yeah, I've kind of described this as a melting pot in the past, or not a melting pot.
A potluck.
A potluck. And then I always said melting
potluck.
pot instead. A knowledge potluck. That's really what it should be called. We each bring, a couple things to the table and we share with each other, teach each other as we go. And they're really interesting little nuggets that we couldn't make an entire episode about, but we think are worth sharing with you guys.
Totally. Yeah. And probably some stuff you've never even heard of, hopefully.
I think so.
Some really mind-bending stuff too today. So before we get into this week's news stories, though, we want to thank our awesome sponsors today, Snow, Upstart, Third Love, and The Farmer's Dog. We appreciate your continued and loyal support to the podcast.
Yes.
But let's go ahead and just jump right in with Area 51 raid that went down this week.
Yes, you guys, September 20th.
What a glorious day that was.
Came and went. It was pretty entertaining.
It was. But I mean, it was very minimal. The biggest thing that happened was the video that went viral of the news station. A reporter was out there to report what's happening at the gates of Area 51. There's literally just campers and people coming out there just to kind of hang out around Area 51.
Actually, let's go ahead and roll that
Rachel,
clip.
Nevada.
Back out here live, we will have much more from the tiny community of Rachel, Nevada at 6:30. Reporting live, Joe Bartel's 13 Action News.
Okay, I'm actually glad that we watched this clip because I really thought that this was a staged thing where they had someone just run in the background. They're like, hey, kid, I'll give you $20 if you do a Naruto run in the background.
Yeah.
It's so funny though. I'm so glad that was the best clip.
Yeah.
So that made it all kind of worth it. But yeah, I mean, it was a little disappointing. I'm glad there were some people out there though. And it was funny. It was some good shit to laugh at. But I kind of was hoping some people would actually really try.
Yeah. And I'm honestly surprised that we didn't hear about a bunch of people getting arrested at least.
Yeah.
Or even trying to do
a real
shit.
raid.
But I mean, I think people are smarter than that for the most part. And they realize that
you hope
if we try anything, they're gonna arrest us or worse, So
yeah.
But the week before, we talked about alien stock was supposed to go down, and the founder of this whole joke and everything was organizing it, but then canceled. They went ahead and did it anyway, not led by this guy, just whoever else was there did it. And apparently it's just the lamest shit ever. It was just a bunch of people with
unorganized
pop-up alien merch shops and just selling shit.
Wow.
Just a reason to get together and sell.
I mean, I think people were just wanting to be I went there, especially if something did go down that day. It would be interesting to have been there, but
yeah,
no, it was interesting.
Yeah.
That was very entertaining. That was the best meme of 2019, I think.
Yeah. It's really funny because just with everything going on and this next story we're talking about with UFOs and, the government finally coming out and saying, hey, UFOs are real.
Yep.
And so I think there's this new just interest in aliens and UFOs again.
Totally.
Because of the government, with these videos that have been released.
I think there's a general interest in aliens now from the younger demographic for sure.
Totally.
High school students
and I think what I've realized too is our generation does not want there to be secrets.
No.
We do not want secrets. We want full transparency in our government and the military. And
Age of Aquarius, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So we're all
we want the truth.
We want the real tea here. We don't want
truth.
the fake version that they sell us on the news. So people are wanting to know what's hidden in Area 51, but I doubt we'll ever know.
I doubt it's anything that good anymore.
Yeah.
I bet there's somewhere else way better that we don't even know about.
There. Yeah, I'm sure that there's no aliens there. There's craft there for sure. There was actually interesting Google image that somebody posted, because there's a lot of web sleuths that go on Google Maps and they actually found, or Google Earth, they saw a flying saucer kind of hanging halfway outside of a hangar in Area 51 actually.
Oh, wow.
Kind of interesting. Because that leads us to this next story that broke this week, and that's that for the first time, the U.S. Navy officially has acknowledged that the video footage of these 3 UFO different incidents that have occurred over the years that were released by Tom DeLonge and his company are in fact legit.
I'm just confused because I don't understand why this was playing on mainstream media as if it was real government news. I mean, this was on like CNN.
Well, that's
playing on all the late night shows.
Yeah.
So they're just now being like, oh, yeah, that's real. Like we all fucking knew.
No, I know. It's actually this whole thing going on that I don't fully understand, but essentially these clips were given to, so let me provide a little bit of backstory in case you're new to this whole thing. So you have to kind of know the behind the scenes
about
to
Tom
understand.
And stuff. Yeah.
So Tom has a company.
Tom DeLonge.
Blink-182 guy, famous.
Angels and Airwaves.
In my yed.
Hey, Tom, I love Tom. Oh
I
my
do
gosh.
too. I do too. His
I have
voice
been
is
obsessed
legendary.
with him for so long.
And just Blink-182 is such a good band too.
But I was just obsessed with just him for a long time.
Okay.
He was like my high school crush for a while, and I just
And you
him.
like his music too.
Oh, of course, yeah. But I love him.
Yeah.
And I like him even more now that he's into aliens. But anyway.
So Tom, he's been into UFOs pretty much his whole life, and it's been something he's been passionate about. And he actually got kind of approached by this group of ex-military intelligence officials, scientists, things like that, to come together and form this private company called To the Stars that is going to do private research on UFOs essentially and all this technology associated with them. And so,
as well as media too, like produce movies and stuff to release to the public to help spread the word about UFOs kind of in a low-key way. Yeah,
kind of like bring everybody's awareness slowly into this realization that we're not alone. And
projects similar to Star Wars, things like that, he said.
And whenever he's talked about it, don't you think he's alluded that these UFOs are most likely extraterrestrial, origins to them, like they're being, these are
yeah, he
likely
says they
aliens.
are.
Yeah, right.
Oh, 100%. Tom says they are.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought everyone. Really? What else do people think that this is?
I mean, some people think that it's, it could be anything. I mean, it could be its own organism in itself.
That's really interesting that the government came out and specifically said this. They knew it would stir media and stuff, and it did.
Totally.
It made all the late night shows again.
Yeah. Well, because they're kind of prepping us if you think about it. But the thing about this, though, is that officials are now saying that these videos were never declassified, or somebody from the intelligence department was like, these were never declassified, so they were never meant to be shared.
Right.
And yet Tom's company shared them anyway, which they had access to them, but I guess the military didn't expect them to actually like release it, as so they say. So there's this whole controversy, right? It's just
like, well, why would you give out such...
Are they wanting us to know this or not? Are they playing a game with us here? Like, what's the deal? Because
why would they give them such top secret video files if they weren't sure
they've
they
been
could
leaked.
Possibly, put them out?
Yeah, so digging into this more, like one of the UFO clips got leaked after it happened. Like it was on Facebook at one point from the actual pilots that actually do this. So there's 3 videos, and I'll link them below if you want to watch them, or if you're watching on YouTube, we'll overlay them because they're kind of interesting if you haven't seen them yet. But, they're actual footage from fighter planes flying around the sky, chasing these things, essentially. These craft that are moving in crazy different, with, moving at the speeds where thousands of G's are being pulled and no human could possibly survive being in these craft that are flying around.
Right.
It's just baffling to see because it's like, we don't have this technology. So what the hell is this?
Well, even if we do somehow have this secret technology, we don't understand how it could be operated by a human, even if we did have that.
Right.
Well,
that's the thing, is it's not humanly possible to move in a spacecraft with the physics that we know.
Right. I mean,
pulling
it's already
thousands
hard just
of
to go to
Gs.
space.
Right. Remember like the clip we showed the fighter pilots when they pull like 10 Gs or something?
You're
how
at
crazy
our live
it gets?
show. We got to just...
I know. I wish we could have posted that for you guys.
We're so bummed out about that. We won't go into details, but we're not able to post the live show that we did in Texas.
Yeah.
And it's really annoying. It was a good show. Maybe we'll just do that show live sometime.
Yeah, I know. We should just redo it. I love that one.
That was a good
so
show.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, we had a lot of good clips. It was interesting. Let us know if you guys want to see it.
Yeah, we went into pretty good depth with UFOs and stuff, if you're interested in that kind of thing. But
it'll have to be after October, though, because we're about to go into spooky month, people.
Yeah.
Getting into spooky topics next week.
Oh yeah. No, we've got some really good stuff planned.
Anyway, back to the aliens.
Yeah.
We are all over the place.
It's all right. So to sum it all up, the government has officially acknowledged that UFOs are real. And essentially now the angle that they're taking it is like, we got to figure out what this is, because it's a huge problem that there's these unidentified craft everywhere, reported in the thousands every year, with similar characteristics, just flying around in our airspace and potentially, interfering with military operations and things like that. So that poses a threat, right?
Yeah, it's a little stressful.
So, then it becomes this whole debate on whether or not, like, are UFOs good or bad, or what are they? Are they aliens? Are they secret government technology? What is it? What's going on there? Because we don't know. So
yeah, it's interesting.
I don't know. It's just interesting to see. I feel like don't you think in the last year or two, like UFOs and aliens have really started to come to the public?
It feels like there really has been a shift in the way that we see mainstream media and government handling UFO news and related things.
And taking it seriously for the most part, yeah.
Yep. It'll be interesting to see how different it is in like 5 years.
Yeah, or to see how much more we know.
Right.
Because, I mean, if Tom and his company are really studying that, then maybe they'll figure some shit out.
All right, so we have good climate change news this week.
We do. For a change, we have some good news, people. So there's a new algae-based bioreactor which can swallow carbon dioxide 400 times faster than trees.
Holy shit.
Technology is coming to the rescue, guys. So that's a good thing. There is a company in Austin, Texas, actually, called Hypergiant Industries, which has created this EOS bioreactor, which uses algae and artificial intelligence to suck carbon dioxide out of the atmosphere. And according to these developers, they're saying that these 63 cubic foot boxes is capable of taking in as much carbon as 400 trees.
Wow.
So it's these really cool, they almost look
That's amazing. They look like a tanning bed.
Yeah, it's like almost like a tanning spa, or like a almost like the size of a photo booth is kind of how I like to think. It might be a little bit bigger than that, actually.
Wow, that is so cool.
But these things, they're using algae, and the algae actually like purifies and pulls the carbon dioxide out. It's really cool.
How interesting. So I wonder if they can put a bunch around and then really make a difference.
Well, that's what they're going to do, and start putting it in all these buildings and
see, this
cities
is our
and
best
things like
hope,
that.
Is smart people creating solutions to fix our mistakes.
Yep. And that's exactly what's happening. So the company's CEO, Ben Lamb, he said, quote unquote, "We believe one of the biggest human challenges of our time is the current crisis with global warming. As such, we set out to figure out if trees were really the best solution, or if there were other effective alternatives. And it turns out that algae is actually more effective than trees at reducing carbon in the atmosphere, and can be used to create carbon negative fuels, plastics, textiles, food, fertilizer, and much more."
Wow, that's really cool.
Yep.
I love seeing this type of
stuff. So not only is it the technology, but also that artificial intelligence is a huge piece of this, because it's going to be able to essentially, control algae and control this process without any sort of human interaction with it, which is really cool.
That's fascinating.
So yeah, they're going to try to build these into homes. Like all of us could have one of these reactors in our homes. Like every single building across the world could have one of these reactors that pulls all of our carbon footprint, and the algae cleans it up.
I wonder how many we would need on the planet to like clean up the planet, though.
Well, I mean, if there's a way to create different,
bigger, a giant.
Yeah,
version?
I mean, I'm sure you can grow algae in all sizes. Like I don't think it'd be limited to just a small amount. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think theoretically their plan is to have this potentially everywhere. Think about factories. If they could attach some type of algae device to your car, if we were still running on fossil fuel cars, that like a filter. I still haven't figured out like why don't exhaust vehicles have some sort of like carbon filter to them?
They really should. It doesn't make any sense.
Like I know they've like improved engines and things like that to decrease the amount of exhaust, but why isn't there like some cool like techie gadget that can make it the exhaust from your car not so bad?
An algae sucker that you attach to your car.
And these things look cool. They look
they
badass.
really do.
They're like very like
It's very cool looking.
Space agey. Yeah.
Whoever made this. Oh, this guy, Ben Lehman. Ben Lamb. Sorry,
Yeah,
Lehman.
Yeah.
Ben Lamb. Yeah, he looks like a young, innovative dude.
But what a great way to,
Yeah.
try to solve some problems here.
Yeah. Good for him. It's cool to see.
Yeah. So hopefully we start seeing these things everywhere soon. I think this company is going to end up being really big too. Hypergiant is going to be big. So if you're looking
they'll probably branch out into other
in.
ways that they can use algae for so many other things.
Totally.
Interesting.
But just the potential to have this in like every home is crazy across
Harness
America.
the power of the earth, make it,
Yeah.
pair it with technology and bam. That's really
what I'm
cool.
saying. I think, don't you ever feel like all of the answers to our problems all lie within the earth? Like the earth
I have
has
thought about that.
all of it, has all the knowledge, I think.
If life is somewhat of a game or planned in any way, or there's like, destiny, I always think about how just interesting it would be if every single thing had a solution on this planet. Like there really is. We just haven't discovered it, but there really is.
Well, there is. That's the thing about it is I don't think there's any impossible scenario, right? There's not any question that doesn't have an answer. How could there be a question with no answer? It comes back to positive and negative energy. If you think about it, everything comes back to like plus or minus, electrons and neutrons, and it comes back to the atomic level. And I think that goes the same for everything in life. Like,
so things can't exist there can't be a question without an answer. A question cannot exist without an answer.
Correct.
Also existing. We just may not have found it yet.
Right. It's just undiscovered or unknown, or we don't have the potential to even conceive or know it if we found it.
Yeah, or we just haven't found it yet.
Well, maybe we'll all be getting these algae bioreactors in our homes soon. That's what I hope.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
And hopefully they're not expensive. I mean, how much could algae be?
Though.
But
it's always, any type of new technology is always so overpriced at first.
And I feel like they're going to kind of market it like Tesla and stuff and make it like really expensive.
But if they really want to impact the planet, they're going to have to make this affordable for the everyday person.
Yeah, that's true. Because it should be everywhere.
Yeah.
So
it should be in schools and stuff too.
Yeah. Well, I think that's what they're trying to do. And like, imagine if they went into China and just put these everywhere.
Yeah.
And even into Denver, like the smog and stuff in the air, if they could clean all that out, can you imagine like how much nicer the outdoors would be?
How many of you are seeing that when you look outside at your view or, down even in the city where you live, if you live close to a city? Because we can straight up just see this smog over Denver and it's like, it's scary.
Yeah. It literally clears cloudies the view, like, and it's not natural. It's like brown. It looks like a brown cloud hanging over the city sometimes.
Yeah, it does.
And it's because all this pollution's trapped. And
maybe it's because we're higher up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I don't know.
Let us know.
Yeah. But let's go ahead and jump into our Ponder Sesh here today. But before we do, we'd like to thank our first sponsors for today.
Have you guys ever wondered why every single dog food, regardless of the brand, the price, or the quality, is all little burnt pellets? Why do we give this to our dogs every single meal for their entire life? I mean, how boring. Well, now we don't have to, thanks to Farmer's Dog. Farmer's Dog makes it easy to feed your dog real, fresh, quality food that you can actually tell is real food. When you see this, it looks like something that could possibly be on your plate. They deliver it right to your house exactly when you need it. It's so awesome. We absolutely love Farmer's Dog, and our dogs are really enjoying it. We love to feed our dog the turkey recipe with carrots and spinach. And there's no wondering what's in our dog's food because we can actually see the ingredients in it every time we open the packaging. And it just makes us feel better about feeding our dogs. Farmer's Dog has worked with the very top vets to make their food complete and balanced for your dogs so that you know that they're getting the nutrition that they need to thrive. It's also pre-portioned for them, so you don't ever have to worry about under or overfeeding your dog. We have noticed that our dogs' digestive systems are working way better, way faster. The Farmer's Dog is a smarter, healthier pet food, making it as simple as possible to give your dog a better diet. To start your trial today, go to thefarmersdog.com/milehigher and you'll save 50% and get free shipping. That's thefarmersdog.com/milehigher for 50% off your trial with free shipping. Just go to farmersdog.com/milehigher.
Everyone wants their home to look and feel great. Luckily, Snow makes it incredibly simple. They create trend-proof, beautiful, functional pieces made for how you live, which their specialty is making luxury essentials for your home minus the markup. So we're talking luxury brands that can cost tons and tons of money. Snow essentially makes those same products at the same quality for a lesser cost. What's cool, and one of the things I really like about Snow, is all their products are simple yet elegant and beautiful, and come in a variety of different colors. They have incredibly soft, award-winning sheets, which we tried out, and oh my God, they were so soft. They kept us cool all night, which is super important, and helped us get the best sleep of our life. And right now, guys, Snow is offering our listeners $30 off your first purchase of $150 or more when you go to snowhome.com/milehire. That's SNOWE home.com/milehire to get $30 off your first order. Again, visit snowhome.com/milehire for your special offer. All right. So the first topic I have is a tomb complex known as Newgrange in Ireland. Newgrange is how you pronounce it. And this thing deserves to be the 8th wonder of the ancient world, because this thing is crazy looking. It's this giant hemispherical tomb that's located north of Dublin. It's really cool. And
it's really
this
pretty.
thing is old, man. It is extremely old. It was built 5,200 years ago during the Neolithic period. So it's been around really a long time, and look at how good it looks. I mean,
yeah, very pristine.
And it's just it's like alternating layers of rock and essentially dirt put together, and they created like this mound essentially. It almost looks like a flying disc, like a UFO disc.
Oh, it kind of does,
kind of
actually.
interesting. Like from an aerial view, it's very flying saucer-ish looking.
Yeah, because it comes up to a point. It's kind of like an arch on the top.
Mm-hmm. What's really cool about this thing, though, is that it's actually 600 years older than the Egypt's Giza pyramids and 1,000 years older than Stonehenge.
Wow.
So if you think about that for a moment.
Yeah, that's old.
This is like going back to Neolithic times. I mean, we're talking like early, very primitive days back then. Mm-hmm. And the fact that they built this thing is truly incredible. And this thing is like, it's all like built out of stone, and they actually carved different types of circles, spirals, and radials across all of the stones around it. It's really cool. It's got this very
learned about this in school.
Mystical vibe to it. No, I know. Because if it's just a tomb, there's no other significance to it, you know. That's at least what teachers would say. They'd be like, we don't have time to cover this because there's not as significant as, say, the ancient pyramids, you know.
Right.
But for all we know, this could have been extremely important. I mean, this thing is enormous.
Yeah. Well, they don't cover it because it's not in their curriculum.
Yeah.
Which is set by like the government pretty much. So
inside, yeah. And inside there's like all these different etchings and symbols that people believe relate to the sun, moon, and stars. And what's interesting is that every year when the sun rises on the winter solstice, the shortest day, and the longest night of the year, sunlight shines through a precisely placed opening in the stone walls, illuminating the long hall of the tomb.
So tell me that is not on purpose. There's no way that this accidentally happened for
on purpose.
The Stonehenge and this. That makes no sense.
And 1,000 years prior.
Yeah.
So if you thought like Stonehenge was some type of like, you know, ancient type of, you know, astronomical setup there, you think about this, you're like, wow, how the hell did these Neolithic people know when, you know, winter solstice was, and knew, you know, where the sun would be so that it would shine light through this one opening to illuminate the tomb? There
must have been some type of knowledge about it.
Yeah. And a greater significance to this place.
Right.
You know, like your average person might just be like, well, it's just a tomb. They just built it to put people in. But if you think about it, why would they go through all this trouble to build such a very, you know, exact monument like this?
It's the same thing with the pyramids. It's like, yeah, they kept bodies in there. It clearly was a tomb, but is that all that they were meant for? Was there another purpose for these buildings?
Right, right.
Is there a spiritual aspect to these buildings?
So
more
this
than
one,
just a random tomb?
Yeah. Well, a lot of people, a lot of healers and empaths say that Newgrange has this sort of etheric quality to it, with remnants of energetic bodies no longer living in this physical reality. So they believe that the site is some sort of reservoir of healing energy for all walks of life.
Wow.
So you can
like
you definitely feel some energy there, I'm sure. And
it looks very beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Ireland?
Yeah.
Is
Ireland.
it anywhere you can get to easily as a tourist, or is it like the middle
it's
of somewhere?
just north of Dublin.
Oh, yeah. North of Dublin.
Dublin's like the big city out
the
there.
capital,
So.
right? I believe.
Yeah, it's either Dublin or Belfast, I think. I can't remember which one it is. I think it's Dublin, though. But this thing, they've done some excavations there at this site, and they've found remnants of burned human bones, indicating that at least a few human beings were first cremated and then buried there.
Or
cremated or sacrificed. That's what I'm saying. It's like, could be sacrificed there. Crazy, man. But the last kind of bit to this is that this area is actually known by the locals to be kind of a hotspot for crop circles, actually, and unusual flying objects in the sky.
Oh, well, damn.
Which also makes you wonder, it makes you think like, whoa.
There's a lot going on in the UK in general.
And crop circles there.
Yeah.
There's something interesting about all the, like, why isn't there crop circles here?
I know. That is strange.
Why is it usually like in the UK only?
We definitely have fields. Check out Kansas.
And I mean, we've definitely had crop circles here, but not in the same.
Not to the beautiful extreme patterns that they have had over there.
And just the volume and consistency, like every year, because you can go on tours there. Like we tried to go on a tour there.
Yeah, just
a crop circle tour, and there wasn't any crop circles when we tried to go either.
Yeah.
But there usually is. That's what's so interesting about it. And in these areas of open fields, it's kind of weird. Like but what I think too is like a lot of people just equate it to, it's just probably some people, doing some trying to fuck with people essentially. But to me, I'm like, these areas are ancient.
Yeah.
I mean, these areas are.
There's been activity in them for
there
a
has
long
been.
time.
Yeah. Whether it's paranormal activity or
human activity.
Human activity just spanning thousands of years. There's a lot of history there.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like there's also probably a lot of artifacts and things like that still hidden under the surface. And, we're just kind of scratching the surface right now. But it's really crazy, man. Newgrange Tomb Complex. Check it out. I want to go there.
Yeah, it looks really beautiful. I mean, we got to get out to Ireland one day. It looks so green. I know we have a ton of Irish viewers too. Let us know if you're from Ireland. Represent.
I'd love to go to Ireland.
Hey, we guessed the capital right. Points for us.
Dublin?
We've definitely gotten some things wrong like that before. Okay.
So what do you got?
So today I'm going to be telling you about this Russian lab that has samples of smallpox and Ebola.
Jesus.
Yes. So, I mean, it's kind of crazy to think about the fact that there are still samples of deadly diseases
that could wipe us all out. Yeah.
And that the governments still have them. And it's like the Russian government and the American government.
Yeah. Isn't that interesting?
It's like they're always in so many weird things. I feel like there's always this like secret bond between us two that's like kind of.
Well, we're like
we both know each other's evil shit that we do.
Yeah. Well, we've been superpowers for a long time, like throughout history.
Right. But I feel like we're both kind of work together in an evil way.
Yeah. For being such sworn enemies, it's like we have a lot of similarities sometimes.
Well, this time the similarity is that this lab in Russia and an American lab are the only two places that actually still have smallpox. This specific research center is called Russia's State Research Center of Virology in the city of Koltsovo. I can never pronounce anything Russian. Koltsovo? Yeah, Koltsovo in Siberia. And it has the largest collection of dangerous viruses, more than anywhere in the world. So that's pretty interesting. Imagine working in there. I feel like I'd be scared.
Seriously?
Yeah. So during the Cold War, the lab actually developed biological weapons and defenses against them.
Well, yeah, because I think there was this threat of potentially biological warfare.
Yep.
Like if you think about it, though, like nuclear warfare is scary, but at the same time, I'm like biological warfare is almost scarier.
Yes.
To think about.
Well, I mean, pick your poison. They're both horrible.
No, I know they're both horrible, but I'm just saying that like the idea of dying from some type of disease or something that's been spread is or like from a global pandemic of some type of virus or something that's scary.
Yeah. So this place has a bunch of different scary things, such as smallpox, anthrax, and Ebola. They have a bunch of different types of viruses. And so a lot of people were concerned when they had an explosion on their facility on Monday.
No shit.
Yeah.
God.
So this was last Monday. The laboratory was undergoing repairs when a gas bottle exploded, sparking a 30 square meter fire that left one worker severely burned.
Jesus.
Yeah. Glass throughout the building was reportedly destroyed in the blast, and the fire reportedly spread through the building's ventilation system.
Wow, this could have been
Crazy.
really bad.
Yeah. Like,
can you imagine?
Really bad.
Like,
yeah, I can imagine.
If Ebola, anthrax, and smallpox all got like,
yep,
put out there for people to get, that's crazy.
And they, smallpox has been eradicated from the wild since 1977. So it's been on lock since then. Imagine if that were to get out. That was like the last wild known case of it that they found. And that was the last.
Why would we want to keep around strains of these viruses? Like, I get researching them, but isn't the point to eradicate them?
In case we need to make a vaccine. If we somehow lose the vaccine, you need the original or something. But I'm sure there's creepier reasons behind why they keep them. But yeah, the only other one is in the United States, other than the other sample that is here in Russia, in this lab that had this crazy explosion. And experts say that under certain circumstances, an explosion could lead to a release of deadly pathogens. So, of course, the Russian public officials have said, no need to worry. There's no threat to the general population. And, that they have
just like they
extremely strict storage procedures for these types of diseases, deadly pathogens.
Which they said about Chernobyl, just by the way.
Exactly.
Look what happened with that.
I think we certainly have some reason to question, how they store these things. And could something bad like this happen and actually go wrong? Because I'm sure this wasn't a walk in the park for them either. I'm sure some people were shitting their pants over this.
Oh, yeah.
It probably could have gone really bad, really fast. And then they really tried to be like, no, guys, it's fine. And we have everything under control, and we always do. But this is scary stuff. So I don't know. What do you guys think about this?
I think it's scary. And I think it's possible that another global pandemic could break out. I can't remember what the article was I was reading, but there's like a good chance there could be another global. I think it's even like Bill Gates or somebody random like that that's talking about how another like global pandemic is very likely. Like it's
global health pandemic.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure it was Bill Gates that was the one commenting about it or said something about it in the past. Because it was. Yeah.
I think warns that the next pandemic disease is coming.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Global pandemic. I mean, he's probably right. He's Bill Gates. He's pretty smart.
Well, and he does a ton of work like with this kind of stuff in other countries and stuff with vaccinating and things like that.
That's terrifying.
It is.
That's why vaccinations are so important. As much controversy as there is over them, and there's plenty of things to question with diseases for sure, but they are important.
Yeah, I mean, when they are proven to work, then obviously it's a good thing to do.
I mean, but at the same time, there's a lot of controversy obvious. Sorry.
But do we really know the truth about anything at this point? Like, good God.
I know.
It's like
But I feel like it is good to question what's in our vaccines. I think just because you're pro-vaccine doesn't mean you shouldn't question what's in vaccines.
Oh yeah, well we shouldn't. Yeah, if they
just that you want to question what's in your medications and stuff, right?
Totally. I mean, you're putting shit into your body. You better be checking to see what it is and make sure that it's actually doing what it's intended to do.
Right, to protect you from stuff like this
and know the long-term effects.
You don't want to get like smallpox or any of these crazy things. Imagine getting
just like 50 to 100 years ago when people get polio and shit, like that was scary. Like,
or like black fever and
to have kids in a world like that where there was no vaccines. Like,
you just had to watch your kid die. It happened over a couple days.
Fuck, man, that's so crazy.
Scary.
Yeah, it's wild, man.
So hopefully they don't have any more fires over there. It's really scary to think
that their lab just exploded.
I know.
Like,
you would think that they'd be like, bomb proof somehow, or like
seriously
explode proof. But
it's interesting that we even heard about that at all. I'm surprised that even like got reported somewhere.
I know.
Like I feel like if that happened at the CDC or something, it would. Was it?
I had to, find it. It wasn't on mainstream.
Yeah.
Nope. No one probably really heard of that last week. That's such a major thing. And think of all the other dumb crap that they talked about on the mainstream this week. But not this.
Nope. Not this.
Who gives a fuck, right? Smallpox. Who cares?
We shouldn't be worried about that. It can only just wipe out all of human civilization.
You know what else could wipe out human civilization?
What's that?
The singularity. And I see that is your next topic. What about it? I want to hear something new.
Well, first I have to tell you what the singularity is in case you don't know what it is or never heard that term, which a lot of people surprisingly have never heard the term the singularity.
I hope most of our followers know what the singularity is.
No, surprisingly, I don't think so.
Really?
No.
Okay.
We did an episode on it a long time ago, but there's some new predictions here that will probably scare you a little bit. But essentially what the singularity is it's a singularity is at any point where there's like a major advancement in technology. So there's a point at which technology becomes so advanced that essentially we're able to take that technology and create this superhuman artificial intelligence. Like we will be able to merge with technology. It'll be just as smart as us, if not way more advanced than us. Mm-hmm. And we're very close to that point in history. This has been something that's been written about by both a science fiction writer, Werner Vinge, who wrote about it in 1993. But the other major proponent of the singularity is somebody by the name Ray Kurzweil. He's an ex-Google engineer, really smart dude. But he wrote a book actually called The Singularity is Near, where he essentially talks about, technological progress and how that by the year 2045, we will experience the greatest technological singularity in the history of mankind, which at this point, this kind of change could overturn the institutes and pillars of society and completely change the way we view ourselves as human beings.
We definitely are probably going to look at ourselves differently if we have the aid of tons of technology.
Yeah.
Or we may not need so many different things.
Well, and a human technology.
Right.
That is no different from a human being. Mm-hmm. So we're talking like Siri, but like Siri a billion times better and
Siri
smarter than
just
she
literally
is.
becomes your friend Jeff that sits in the corner and
literally
lives in your house.
You can talk to her about anything and she'll respond and be able to provide you with insight and details about things.
Remember how weird it was when they first had to start calling it Siri? I was so confused. I was like, what? You wanted me to call the software Siri? The microphone is Siri? And then it was like Alexa. And it's like, I feel like that's the first wave of accepting robots.
Oh, totally. Totally. Well, they're gearing us up for it. They're getting us used to having these virtual assistants with us.
Yeah.
But the future holds far more than where we're at right now. Because like the where it's headed is to the point where literally our computers, our phones, and whatever other devices are around in 10 to 20 years are going to be smarter than we are. And they will be able to figure out shit that we can't figure out, which is good in a lot of ways, but it's also scary as hell in other ways when you think about it.
Yeah, because we don't want to be outsmarted.
Right. Yeah. And once we're outsmarted, then what? We may be their masters and their creators, but
that's terrifying.
But then they could get so smart that they're able to create themselves, like they're able to better themselves, create better versions of themselves. And that's where we really fall behind. So Ray Kurzweil, this computer scientist, believes that by 2045 is when this singularity will occur. And he's made a lot of predictions just about the future and technology in the past. And out of all of his predictions over the years, 86% were correct. So he's got an 86% accuracy, which is really good.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's going all the way back to the 90s. And
that's like better than Nostradamus.
Yeah,
Pretty sure he's like 50% something.
Oh, yeah. No, that's crazy. His was that low? Damn.
Yeah.
But his was more broad too. He was broad,
Yeah.
For a lot larger.
A lot of psychics and like prophets and stuff have an insanely low rate. It's like 50 pretty much for a lot of them.
But I feel like it's easier with technology, especially if you fully understand it and understand where.
Well, you're making more calculated predictions versus just making stuff up.
So he made some predictions that are very interesting, to say the least. So we're talking around the 2030s, which if you think about it, it's 2019. So 11 years from now, right? Yeah, 11 years from now, we will be in the 2030s. And this is what he's saying could happen at this point. So he says that advanced artificial intelligence will lead to a political and social movement for robots, lobbying for recognition and certain civil rights. In the 2030s, robots will literally be trying to become a part of our society, be a part of our daily lives.
Like what, they want to vote?
Yeah, want to be involved in different systems that we have set up. And
I don't even believe that.
You see, a lot of people don't. A lot of people are skeptical about that.
By the 30s?
Look at Sophia.
It's going to be weird to go through like
look
the
at
30s,
Sophia.
man.
If there's a million Sophias running around, you know what I'm talking about.
A lot of people don't
right?
know what Sophia is. Explain what Sophia is.
Sophia is a super intelligent artificial AI robot that is a humanoid, essentially.
Yeah.
And you can have full-on conversations with her. She can think for herself. She's a citizen, actually.
She wants to have a baby.
And she's able to already think about, she's already there, like intelligence-wise.
Yeah.
Where she's probably as intelligent as we are, or close to it.
I don't know. That's just like, that seems really fast.
I know, but if you understand the behind the scenes, the coding, the brain of it, I think it's easier to wrap your head around the intelligence aspect.
But I don't know if like society is going to accept that as fast as the technology will be available.
Oh, we will, because it'll be catered to us in a way that creates convenience and creates, it's not going to be in this like threatening way necessarily. It's going to be integrating it like how they're integrating in our lives now.
2040, but 2030 seems like a little soon. 10 years? All right.
But you got to think that
I
like
guess he knows better than me.
Technology is literally, getting better like 100 times over every year.
Yeah.
So if you figure at that rate, it's going to get crazier and crazier. Especially with AI, like AI that we have right now is going to enable us to get to that point. So he goes on to predict that a $1,000 personal computer is 1,000 times more powerful than the human brain. That's crazy. Wow. $1,000 laptop is more powerful than your brain.
Honestly, I believe it though. My laptop is so much smarter than me, to be real. Like, I wouldn't expect to be smarter than my computer. My computer knows a lot.
Oh yeah, and it's able to process data faster than you.
Yeah, well, think about the access that it has. Unless we're disconnected to Wi-Fi, then it's not so smart.
If it doesn't have a database to pull from, like the internet is shut down or something.
Exactly. How smart are you without your Wi-Fi, bitch?
Seriously. What do you think about this, though? Eyeglasses and headphones that are used to deliver virtual reality are now obsolete thanks to computer implants that go into the eyes and ears.
That just freaks me out because I just don't want my kids to have that shit.
That's where it's going, dude. We're going to have implants.
How are we going to take things from them, Josh?
There's going to be ways to do it.
All right, kids, pop your microchips out. Take your eyeballs out.
You might be able to.
I don't want you to watch shows in your head anymore. Like, what?
There's going to be a whole...
There better be an off switch for this shit.
There will be. There'll be an augmented reality on top of this one.
What if you can like pull the plug for the whole house and like everyone's chips start
think about this though. Think about like we could be laying in bed at night and our kids are off wherever they are and we're able to literally see what they see.
See, like that's just weird. I wouldn't have wanted my parents to see what the fuck I was doing as a kid.
That's the thing, though. We're losing our privacy.
Exactly.
With the technology, we get the convenience.
I know, but I don't want any more convenience. Life is already just as convenient as I need it to be. Can we just stop here? I'd be fine with that.
It's not going to.
What if we just stopped and the iPhone was just stopped at it's wherever it's at and the Macs and everything? Just no more. Stop changing the ports. Stop fucking everything up. How am I going to get used to a robot?
You're going to get used to it.
Having my phone on. I don't even have the face recognition thing
But that's because we have like some bullshit version of the good stuff that's out there. Like if we had IBM Watson at our fingertips, do you know how nice that would be?
I was using a Palm Centro like not even 10 years ago.
I know. Well, doesn't that show you how fast it's going?
Yeah.
In 10 years, you went from using a little fucking Palm Centro to now a full-blown...
15 years ago, I was using like a razor.
This is just as powerful as your MacBook computer is.
I know.
And it's in your fucking hand.
It's honestly
That's
so
where
impressive.
it's at. That's where it's at right now.
So how much smaller are they going to make this?
it's
I
not
don't
going to be
see
an
the
external
average
thing.
person going and getting an implant though. Like, yes, there would be a lot of people that do that, but you're just wrong if you think everyone's going to do this.
They're
like, it's just not
no.
going to happen.
A lot of people won't do it at first, but what they're going to do is over time make it extremely difficult for you to do anything in life without the
Sorry, my metal
implant.
straw keeps slamming against my metal cup. It's hard to be eco-friendly. Josh keeps getting pissed.
Jesus.
All right.
So to really freak you out, what if we had the ability to alter our physical bodies to a point where we could literally become anything? Like you could become any sort of physical item or...
I hate all of this. I literally hate this. This is not how life is supposed to be. I know there's people out there that agree with me that this stuff freaks them out and it feels like we're going against human nature. Yeah. I don't want to. You shouldn't be able to just transform. What are we, Transformers now?
No,
what is even reality?
We could.
To what? Like what? So if I want to become a fucking piece of toast with some butter, I can do that? Like what?
But here's
this
how
makes no sense.
No, you can. You absolutely can. But it's all relying on the fact. So part of that. So this last prediction is by 2099. So pretty far in the advance in the future. What we'll be able to do is take our brain and we'll have reverse engineered the brain. We'll completely understand how it works. We'll know where consciousness is. We'll understand. We have to understand consciousness for the toast thing to work. All right. You got to know, because what we got to do is we got to take your consciousness from this body, transfer it to some type of computer hardware.
Why?
And then transfer it to a piece of toast.
But why is that needed?
And then you can be a piece of toast. Seriously though, you could do that.
Oh my God.
Or it could be some artificial robot
this
piece
world
of toast.
Freaks me out. I don't
It's
know.
craziness.
This just feels like it's not supposed to be like this.
I don't know, man. I'm on the fence with it because I feel that the earth is not going to let us get to this point. And, maybe they will, maybe they won't. But I don't know. I feel like...
Oh, you think the earth will be destroyed before we even get to this?
Well, I think something will happen that will reverse a lot of this advancement that we have. Potentially.
Possibly set us back. Yeah.
As much as I like to think everything's going to go smooth sailing into the 2100s and beyond, I just don't know.
I mean, it could go any which way.
Because
like
the earth could be like, yeah, you guys are trying to get super advanced on us? Well, fuck you. We're going to wipe you out or something.
Make you go back to your roots there.
Yeah. Back to basics.
Farming.
Yeah. Back to the good old days. So I don't know. It's a crazy concept, the singularity.
Yeah, it is.
So what do you got next?
All right. So this is just a weird phenomenon. It's probably just science. It's kind of interesting, but I thought, knowing us, we could come up with something weirder that could explain this. But throughout time, there have been these weird sightings of something called ball lighting. And it's happened for centuries, literally dates back to antiquity. Like this has been documented by tons of people. It's normally the size of a grapefruit and it lasts up to about 20 seconds, but sometimes it can last up to a few minutes in rare cases. Like it literally moves around.
And it's literally like a ball of light that emits lightning from it.
It literally looks like a ball of light. Exactly. That, emits lightning from it. Exactly what you just said. But it's the size of a grapefruit and it just kind of buzzes around. It's really weird. There's video of it. I'll show you. I have a clip for us to watch. But you can see it outside, but it can also come inside your house. Like there's a lot of cases of people who see it outside and then it travels in through their window or their door if it's open and then goes around in the inside of their house.
So it's almost like a light orb or something that's like shooting lightning out of it.
Right? So
that's craziness.
It's actually pretty common. There's a good chance a lot of you have seen it. Actually, 5% of you should have seen it because 5% of people apparently have seen it.
Yeah, I'm wondering if any of you have seen this because I've definitely not seen anything like this. This is crazy.
I have definitely not seen it either. But it can also travel from outdoor to indoor, indoor to outdoor. And one thing that is really interesting is that it was often reported during World War II by pilots inside of the planes.
Huh.
Even in submarines.
In submarines?
Submarines. Way underwater, there's reports of that. And I thought it was really interesting that they were seeing that during, World War II.
Yeah. Because, I mean, if you think about, like, what is it? Yeah. What are the possibilities for this thing? I mean, Could it be
It
something?
could be something paranormal. It could be something scientific.
Could be a fucking alien being for all we know.
That's what I'm saying.
Crazy.
I mean, in history, we have a couple examples where there may have been aliens trying to interfere with us during moments of intense military time.
Yeah.
Is it possible they were like checking us out? What if it's like a orb kind of like, or a spirit even?
Yeah. It could
that
be
people are
something
seeing.
That. That's craziness. Though.
Yeah, it's really weird. It goes into planes when it's hit by lightning. Sometimes it can
how
literally go into planes. I was watching an episode of Joe Rogan and he had some guest on, I can't remember her name, but she was talking about how she was on a plane and it got struck by lightning while she was on it with her. She was with her son. And then all of a sudden a ball of pink ball lightning went flying through the entire aisle, just zipped down the aisle.
Wow.
And out the back of the plane.
That's crazy.
So crazy. So yeah, there's no explanation of how it, fully occurs that has been fully accepted by science.
Wow. That's really crazy. It looks insane.
Yeah. So let's watch this video of it.
TV6's Dustin Bonk met with a family today who had a close encounter with a rare phenomenon called ball lightning, which entered their home. The event happened about 30 years ago, but the Vachon family says they'll never forget it.
White bluish ball come floating out of that room.
Joe Vachon of Gwyn came up close and personal with ball lightning. He and his wife Rose were entertaining friends on a hot August day in 1980. Joe was making a drink when he turned around.
I could see a light white blue ball.
And there it was.
You're speechless when it happens. You don't experience anything except what's going in your eyes. I was just staring. I was in awe.
The ball entered the room from the hallway, floated about a foot off the ground, and touched the TV, disabling it. The whole event took about 15 seconds. When the ball came into contact with the TV, it imploded with a deafening bang, and it shook the house.
It was just a very loud bang, and poof, it was gone, and everybody's kind of just standing there staring at each other, looking.
They describe it as about the size of a soccer ball, floating silently in the air. Joe says it was a bright blue and white, and looked more like liquid. According to the American Meteorological Society, ball lightning is rare, so online footage is scarce and often low quality. The Vachons have no footage of their encounter, but Joe says he'll never forget it.
If I was the only one that's seen it, I probably wouldn't even talk about it. Be like a UFO.
On that August day, there were no thunderstorms until after the ball was gone. Thankfully, no one was injured.
Then it just imploded with a loud bang.
In Gwyn, Dustin Bonk, TV6 News.
That's really actually crazy.
I know. It's really interesting.
The fact that it's not always during a storm.
No.
Or
definitely not during a storm.
It's not like it's just lightning hitting the ground and then remnants of it is this ball. It's literally like an orb shows up out of nowhere, floating, levitating off the ground.
Can travel indoor and out.
And just cruises around and then eventually just kind of implodes.
And then known for being seen in like cockpits for pilots and stuff.
So
inside
weird.
the planes though, not just like out. They also see them in the sky. They do see this all the time.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like...
That's why people are like, oh, it's just natural. Some type of perfect condition is happening in the atmosphere that's creating these balls of lightning.
Yeah. So like I said, there's not a widely accepted, theory for it, but... It's thought not to be dangerous. It's thought to be harmless inside of airplanes and submarines. Although if I saw one inside of a plane, I would probably freak out.
Or just stare at it.
Yeah.
But it's clearly not like, because if it were dangerous and high voltage, then we'd have like people dying from this
ball lightning
or planes going down.
As far as we know, no one's ever died from it, but they think that it could be caused by microwave radiation from thunderclouds, oxidizing aerosols, nuclear energy, dark matter, antimatter, or black holes. It can actually be like static that they're picking up from the ground. Like Joe Rogan was talking about how it might be from tectonic plates moving and causing friction. And then that gets picked up in the air.
Yeah, I think it's likely something natural that is just we don't fully understand what the perfect conditions for ball lightning are yet or what the formula is. And it's just kind of happening. But
so probably the most accepted idea seems to be that when lightning strikes during a thunderstorm, it vaporizes some of the silicon that's found in everyday soil and then releases it into the air. Basically, as the vapor condenses into bits of silicon dust, it picks up an electronic charge and clumps together into loose balls, creating ball lightning.
That's crazy. And it just so happens to show up in people's houses and planes and just randomly.
Yep. And the silicon molecules combine with the oxygen from the air to form silicon dioxide, which makes it kind of glow.
That's really wild.
Or it could be UFOs. I mean, who knows?
We don't know some type for of sure interdimensional thing happening. I mean, for all we know.
I think it's interesting that it was around a lot during World War II. I found that to be really fascinating.
Yeah. If there was more occurrences or just, I don't know, something different about the atmosphere.
Imagine seeing that inside, like all of a sudden, I would think it was like a ghost or something, spirit.
Yeah. It's wild that could just happen inside. That's just crazy.
I know.
So wild. But this next thing is really wild. So before we get into that, we'd like to thank our last sponsors for today.
So if you guys have been listening to me for a while, you know that I have been talking about Third Love since before I even started this podcast. I absolutely love this brand. Third Love is mainly known for their Fit Finder quiz, which makes it really easy to find your perfect bra fit. All you have to do is answer a few simple questions and you'll be able to find your perfect fit in 60 seconds. Over 14 million women have already taken the quiz to date. Third Love basically helps you identify your breast size and shape and helps you find styles that will fit your body and be most comfortable for you. Every customer has 60 days to wear it, wash it, put it to the test, and if you don't love it, you can then return it, and Third Love will wash it and donate it to a woman in need. Third Love knows that there's a perfect bra out there for everyone, so right now they are offering our listeners 15% off their first bra at Third Love. Just go to thirdlove.com/milehigher to find your perfect fitting bra and get 15% off your purchase. That's thirdlove.com/milehigher and get 15% off today.
As most of us have found out the hard way, getting into debt is super easy, but getting out is hard, especially if your credit score isn't great. Thankfully now there's Upstart.com, the revolutionary lending platform that knows you're more than just your credit score and offers smarter interest rates to help you pay off high interest credit card debt, which is something I personally have struggled with in my past. It can be really hard to, buy things that you need or just even pay for school and college and things like that with, high interest credit cards and loans and things like that. So it can be helpful when there's platforms out there like Upstart, which take into account your education as well as your work history. They take all that into consideration when you apply for loans with them. See why Upstart is ranked number 1 in their category with over 300 businesses on Trustpilot, and hurry to upstart.com/milehigher to find out how low your Upstart rate is. Checking your rate only takes a few minutes and it won't affect your credit. That's upstart.com/milehigher. So this next topic is very, very bizarre. It's something that I've heard of before but never really looked into, and that was Jesus an alien? Jesus Christ an alien? Well, there's actually a society or religion or cult or whatever you want to call it called the Aetherius Society, and they have some very interesting thoughts about this. So in 1954, there was a London cabbie named George King who received a telepathic communication from an extraterrestrial intelligence named Master Aetherius. Prepare yourself, you're to become the voice of interplanetary parliament, is what this guy telepathically received. And this message was delivered from the planet Venus and was the first of hundreds of similar communications that George allegedly received over his lifetime, some telepathically, some while in a trance. So he's clearly somebody like with psychic abilities as far as we know.
As
far as he thinks too, right? And so he's having these experiences with this extraterrestrial. And in 1955, his experiences inspired him to found the Aetherius Society, a religious group dedicated to spreading and acting upon the teachings of advanced extraterrestrial intelligences.
Interesting.
Very interesting. Yeah. So essentially what he did was he decided to create his own religion in a sense, with the core beliefs that he received from these extraterrestrials or aliens that he called cosmic masters.
Cosmic masters.
Mm-hmm. And
This sounds
apparently,
like something that like L. Ron Hubbard would come up with.
that's immediately what I thought too. I was like, this is like another science fiction type craziness here. But
He just wants power.
yeah, but that's not really his thing here. He's not like trying to control people with this necessarily. He's kind of like getting a message and giving it. But what he said is that occasionally these extraterrestrials will take human form and visit us on Earth, spreading spiritual guidance across the globe. Examples of cosmic masters include Buddha, Sri Krishna, Confucius, and Jesus.
Confucius.
Which is interesting. So if you think about that for a second and think back to their stories, you know, like Jesus, he came to this planet. He was born from a human.
Right.
But he's of otherworldly origin, clearly. And then eventually,
interesting.
Once he sacrifices himself, raises himself from the dead, he ends up leaving the earth.
So all these people were aliens. Buddha was an alien.
Right.
Confucius was an alien.
All of these really smart philosophical people were these cosmic masters. And they sort of took, because if you think about it, if they were, you know, they all come from the same place ultimately, but they all have their own version of their story. You know, like Buddhism's different from Christianity as it's different from Islam and different from all these other religions, but
a lot
ultimately,
of their core things are
the core things overlap.
Right. Yeah, we've talked about that a lot. There's so many similarities, and the one thing that we see in all religion is the theme of good and evil, though.
Right.
Interesting.
So what this guy did, George King, is in 1959, he moved to Los Angeles to found the American headquarters of this movement and determined to spread his beliefs in quote unquote gods from space, UFO, spiritual healing, and psychic powers. And so he created this Ethereal Society or religion. Essentially, they confirmed that aliens travel the universe in flying saucers and the Earth faces a dangerous situation because of deviation from spiritual laws and atomic experimentation.
Interesting.
Right? So he's
got some interesting ideas, though,
that correlate with a lot of other people's interesting ideas, especially surrounding extraterrestrials.
I was going to say,
UFOs.
I feel like we've heard similar ideas.
So this is back in the 50s when he's founding this religion and stuff, and he's receiving these telepathic messages he says are from extraterrestrials. I thought it was interesting that, you know, there's so much correlation there. You know, not all of his beliefs are like just super crazy and out there. In fact, in an interview, he said that if you're a Christian, then live the laws as laid down by Jesus. If you are a Buddhist, live the laws laid down by Buddha. And if you're a Hindu, then be the best Hindu. This procedure is the one true way for men of earth to save themselves from their lower aspects. So he basically said that people should, you know, all religions are valid and people should stay on their own spiritual paths because ultimately all of these religions come back from one of these cosmic masters, which are these extraterrestrials that were here once upon a time.
So either way, you're following them in some way.
Right.
Interesting.
And that we're kind of been guided and protected and watched over from extraterrestrials. And one of the things that they really believe that's interesting that kind of goes with what Dr. Greer talks about, if you know who he is this idea of connecting with extraterrestrials via meditation and spiritual healing and things like that.
CE5.
That there's a spiritual aspect to extraterrestrials and there's a way to communicate with them, but it's on a different level of consciousness and awareness. So that most of us just don't possess normally. So that's kind of what their church is all about. They go and they connect with these
it's actually really
cosmic masters that sort of head all these religions.
I honestly would love to learn more about this.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And there's different chapters like all over.
Have any of you guys ever been to any of the chapters of it? So many of you guys told us that you have been to Scientology stuff or like been approached by someone from that. Have any of you guys have any experience with Ethereal Society?
The UFO religion.
Very interesting
Yeah,
stuff.
it is very interesting. So they have like their own form of yoga and things like that. They're very much about the kind of spiritual ufology kind of belief system, which is cool. So this next thing though is interesting.
Yeah, this is crazy.
So there was a unexplained huge metal mass found under the moon's surface. And what's interesting and what immediately comes to my mind when I hear metal under the
Right.
moon's surface is like,
Hollow Earth.
wait a minute. Is this an artificial moon? Is it a fucking hollow moon?
Who knows?
What
This is
going
really,
on here?
really strange.
Mm-hmm. So this unexplained mass of metal is buried under the crust of the moon at the South Pole. It was actually a research team from Baylor University that announced this incredible discovery. It's actually a pile of metal 5 times larger than the big island of Hawaii.
That's huge.
That's really big.
That's so much. I feel like there's definitely a reason that that's there.
Mm-hmm.
There's got to be.
It's really big. Really, really fucking big. Because there's a crater that surrounds
2,000 kilometers wide.
this metal, though. That's what's crazy is there's a crater that surrounds it that stretches from the same distance as from LA to Lincoln, Nebraska. So if you think
That's
about
so
how huge that
much.
is.
Wow.
And so, you know, the more logical explanation is that this is from an asteroid that crashed into the moon, which created this crater, and could have left behind metals because asteroids have metals on them. Like some of them are made of metal and things like that.
Okay.
But the size of that, like,
That's huge. And it flattens out that much. I mean, I guess when it slams into the surface.
mhm.
Huh. Well, that's very strange. Has NASA put out any statement about this?
I don't think so.
Of course not. They never comment on the most interesting stuff.
Oh, I know. It's because they
Uh.
don't know, or do they? I don't know.
So it also could be an area where dense oxides have compiled as a result from the solidification of the moon's magma ocean. Magma ocean.
Yeah, craziness.
That's kind of interesting. It could be that. It's kind of interesting to think about.
Well, I
There's a
mean-
magma ocean on the moon.
Yeah, I don't know.
God,
I mean, we don't know what's below
it's
the
way
surface. That's what's
different
crazy.
No, we like barely know anything about the moon. That's why it's so crazy. We never go back there.
I feel like there's so much
so much
left
to
to be
learn.
explored there.
Yes, 100%.
It is really interesting why there hasn't been a focus on the moon. And yet
I
we're like
know.
already like, let's go to Mars. Let's go to.
Sounds like they're
Venus
kind
and-
of reinitiating that focus, though. Maybe.
Let's hope so.
We'll
Because
see.
I want to know if the
We'll
moon
see.
is artificial in any way. Because that would be fucking groundbreaking.
Well, God, imagine if there really is some type of underground thing that we're detecting.
Yeah.
That'd be crazy if we're
Yeah,
starting to
some
see
type
that
of-
shit. You know, colleges are just picking that up.
Like a college accidentally
Research
stumbled upon
groups.
some type of colony that's on the moon.
Man.
Like there's this underground. Wouldn't that be fucking
if that
crazy?
kind of stuff is really happening, it's going to be harder and harder to cover it up, don't you think?
It is.
I mean,
Well,
it's like such a crazy idea, though, right? I
It's
don't
not
know.
that
it's
crazy though.
It's hard. It's like full on Truman Show, but I don't know. It's very interesting to me. It could be. It's hard to believe that the moon is fake.
I know.
I have a lot of belief in the moon too, like spiritually, personally.
Well, I don't know
The
necessarily
cycles
if
of the
all
moon.
of it's
and-
fake, but
is it just fake? That seems so ridiculous to me.
but why is it so perfect?
I don't know.
Why is it so perfectly
Because
round?
of gravity, right?
Gravity. Yeah, everything is due to gravity. I don't know. It's kind of crazy though.
All right, so this is a really interesting true crime story, but they have recently found the remains of a man who went missing a long time ago. He went missing actually in 1997, and he was 40 when he went missing, so he'd be 60 now, somewhere in his 60s. And his name was William Molt, and they actually found him by seeing him on Google Maps. They found his car submerged in a pond in Wellington, Florida. Just
Wow.
like a guy was just looking at Google Maps and found it.
Yeah, that's crazy. The aerial image of that Google Maps has is like you can see
You can literally see it.
tiny little outline of a car.
Yeah, when he was missing, they looked for him for like a couple days. He was actually at a nightclub, and his girlfriend said she had no idea where he went. Went missing, and then they abandoned the search pretty soon. It was a dead end, and until they received a report of a vehicle submerged in a pond in Moon Bay Circle, Wellington, Florida. And his skeletal remains were found in the vehicle that was pulled out of the water. So
that's
he's been under the water for like 20 plus years.
Not even that far offshore either. How the hell did they not see that? Unless maybe it like was deeper and it somehow made its way up higher. where it could be seen from the air. I'm just thinking,
well, that's kind of what they're thinking. That maybe even the temperature change or the amount of water in the
the pond it has been a
changing.
long time since he went missing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's crazy. Wow. It's just crazy when you think about how much Google Maps can see.
I know.
Like, Jesus, they could probably see into the houses too.
And Google Maps has actually only had this area on Google Maps since 2007, but they didn't find it until 2019, which is kind of crazy.
That should be like a basic tool in every law enforcement's
I know, to
computer
be like looking for this
Google
type
Earth.
of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean, no one ever saw it. So they believe that either just no one saw it, no one ever looked, or there was a shift in the water level, and that's what made the difference with it, being able to identify the submerged vehicle with ease, opposed to during the investigation in 1997, because they would have seen this area. So, I mean, he probably got drunk, drove intoxicated,
and just kind of drove right into the water and ended up drowning in his car.
He did have a few drinks at the bar that night, but he was not known to be a frequent drinker.
So this is like a kind of a total freak thing that happened.
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
God, and then just to be like resting in peace under the water for so long before, your family finds you and stuff. That's insane.
Oh, and I forgot to say, this was actually found by just some guy who used to live in this area. And he was just looking where he used to live, like checking it out on Google Maps.
Like, oh,
and was
shit,
like,
there's a car there.
Yeah. I mean, you could see it if you were looking at it. Totally. It really stands out. Like, whoa, what is that?
Why is there a car there?
Yeah. So,
yeah, because if
amazing.
You find a car, probably should make sure it's not still there.
Yeah, for sure.
Because they pull out the cars out of the water, I'm sure. That's cool, though.
I know. I thought that was a super interesting story. It's cool to see the ways technology is really helping solve crimes. Between this and the DNA stuff, it's really interesting. There's been a lot of stuff with Google Maps.
Yeah. I feel like with Google Maps and also facial recognition now.
Yeah. That's
facial
another big
recognition
thing
is going to be like a game changer for.
Yeah.
I think law enforcement and police are going to get like with AI and stuff. Well, with AI and technology's help, I think it's going to get better as far as like you're not going to be able to get away with crimes.
Right. It's getting harder to commit a crime.
It's going to be harder to commit a crime because they already have robots that are like police officers right now. I can't remember where exactly
really scares me though. I don't want RoboCops.
Yeah, literally. We'll have RoboCops.
I don't like that.
But maybe if
we're gonna lose power here.
Maybe, or maybe they'll do a better job than we can do right now.
I feel like they'll be too black and white about stuff. There's like some stuff that you can, make a judgment call on as a human because you're able to kind of make a decision. And that's a lot of what police work is.
Yeah,
is judgment
it's a lot
calls.
of gray area too. Like you got to make a split second decision.
And a robot is very black or white about decisions and like how things have to go. So I feel like it'd be kind of difficult to argue with a robot or like try to explain something.
I wasn't speeding. Yes, you were, sir.
I'd be like, sorry. Yes, you were. Here's the receipt.
Yeah. Hey, but it might make it safer for law enforcement out there if they don't have to.
That's true.
Wouldn't it be interesting though if like, maybe we had regular cops for a lot of things, but things like going after fugitives or, instead of having to send dogs into dangerous situations, you could send a robot in there to take somebody down.
Imagine if you were like running from the police and then a robot was charging after you.
That'd be way scarier.
Like iRobot type situation.
Exactly,
it's running.
like that.
Be freaky.
That's where it's headed. Isn't it crazy that Hollywood's literally predicting our future?
Hey, I mean,
there's another topic for you.
I know. We should do a whole episode on
Hollywood. We've said this before.
Have
and people
we?
are like, people are like, yes. And we haven't done it yet.
We really need to.
Because I feel like there is a lot of many movies that have come out that portray our future. Mm-hmm. But we'll save that topic for another day.
Yes.
The last thing, though, I wanted to bring up today is perhaps one of the most important artifacts we've ever recovered in history. And that is the Antikythera Mechanism, potentially history's first computer.
What?
This is craziness. So in 1900, a ship full of Greek divers hit a storm near the small island of Antikythera, where they decided to dock and wait out the storm. And after it passed, they dived down to see what they could find because they're like, there could be shipwrecks and things like that.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what they found. They found a shipwreck, and in the ship's cargo, they found vases and statues and other treasure, but they nearly overlooked perhaps the most crazy looking device that could have ever existed at that period in time. And this is the Antikythera Mechanism. It's this modern looking ancient device that consisted of 82 pieces originally, including 30 interlocking gear wheels, a technology that would not be seen again in Europe for another 1,000 years.
What?
Yes. So
that is so interesting.
This was a highly advanced device that they had way back.
How do we know that? It looks like just stone, though. It looks like just a statue.
I know, but we've kind of figured out how it worked a little bit. So what they did is, after archaeologists were not only blown away by it after it was discovered, but when they had X-ray technology, they were able to see the full complexity of the device through the scans. And what they found is that this technology is so advanced for how old it is that it's hard to understand how it could even be made. Like you're saying right now, like what the hell is this thing?
Yeah.
But it's like essentially literally the world's first computer. And we believe it was actually a tool used in astronomy.
Interesting.
So this is potentially the ancient technology that they had, maybe pieces of it even, that allowed them to calculate the night sky.
So a lot of ancient civilizations could have used something like this.
A device like this. Because apparently...
How come I've never heard of this?
Yeah, I know, right? It's crazy that this is like not known by everybody. Like this would explain a lot of why these ancient civilizations had all this knowledge of the sky, because they had an actual computer in that sense, you know? A computer that was able to essentially determine, or it had actually two metal dials which displayed the zodiac and the days of the year, with pointers indicating the location of the sun, the moon, and the 5 planets that were known to the Greeks: Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn.
This is so important, clearly. Our planets mean something to us. The zodiac means something. The placements of our celestial bodies mean something. So annoying when people like just completely dismiss astrology and all these ancient groups who clearly took it really seriously.
Yeah, to the point that they built technology to calculate where these things were.
And people are like, LOL, astrology is dumb.
Well, then why the hell would they have all these gods and goddesses of all these planets and stuff too, if it was not a big deal? If it wasn't significant, why would they go through all that trouble?
Yeah, literally had a dial that displayed the zodiac.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of insane.
But literally, like, they actually recreated this thing, and it literally had all these gears and wheels that were interlocking with each other. And it was like at one point, this was an extremely detailed mechanism, and it actually had ratios based on the different wheels that were used to mimic different motions of celestial objects. So they not only knew locations, but the actual motions of them, such as the moon around the earth. And the measurements were so precise that it enabled its user to predict celestial events like eclipses and show the phase changes of the moon, among other things.
Interesting.
So this device is ancient, dude, going back thousands of years.
Very old.
Thousands of years.
You can tell just by looking at it. It doesn't look like a device. Looks like some rock.
No, I know.
It's like a carving.
Well, it's because it's all like covered with, it's been underwater for so long.
Right.
But they made like a replica of it.
Wow, that's so cool.
That looks like how it might have been at one time.
God, some of the things they find.
But where did they get this from? If you think about going back that far, from what we know about the ancient Greeks, they didn't have all these like mechanisms and different things as far as we know.
Really talked about.
Or that we found.
Right.
Other than like this thing, we've never found a technological device that could be used to calculate anything, really, I don't think.
Well, that explains how they knew so many things. Oh
right?
My gosh, that's so fascinating.
Which, if you think about it, you go all the way back to the Sumerians and the fact that they knew. And that's going back to the beginning of fucking time. So how did they know?
Mm-hmm. I know. That's the one that really gets me. How the fuck did they know?
How did they know the layout of the solar system?
They had drawings of the solar system.
How?
Just what? Explain that to me. Doesn't make any sense.
And that's what's so crazy about it, and why, aliens always get brought into everything with the ancient astronaut theory.
Yeah, because we think the knowledge may have come from space. All this knowledge of our solar system probably came from somewhere in space, maybe. It makes sense.
Because, I mean, if you think about it, so much of our knowledge came about when we were able to launch telescopes into space and Hubble and everything else. And they didn't have any of that shit.
No, of course not.
They had a little, like, hand-cranked device that they were able to calculate all this.
Well, I'm sure we're being told that they had a lot less than they did.
They
It
clearly
seems like
had
we're
more.
finding more and more evidence that these ancient cultures were so much more advanced than we thought.
Yeah, they really were. They really knew way more than we give them credit for or that we even know. It's crazy.
Yep.
God. It's just things like this where I'm just like, fuck. Like,
There's so much
all
to be
our whole
discovered.
history we like barely understand.
No.
We barely
No.
we
should just
barely even
rewrite
know
it.
what the Egyptians were doing. We have no clue
No, we really
what
don't.
they knew.
It would be
how
so
smart they
interesting for
were.
an Egyptian to read like a textbook about Egypt and see how,
Yeah,
what
see
they
how far
think.
off we are from them. I'm
Probably
sure we're
so
way
off.
off.
Yeah, we barely understand our own history. I mean, that's the weird thing about living on this planet when it's been around so much longer than you, and there's all these people that have lived before you, your ancestors. It's really interesting to think about. But this was a good episode. I thought a lot of this stuff was really interesting. Let
really
us
is.
know what you thought of this episode and what your favorite topic was.
Yeah, please do, because I don't even know what my favorite one is, honestly. So many of these are so interesting.
I don't know. I like the Jesus is an alien idea.
Yeah, it's
It's
very
pretty interesting. But this is pretty cool.
The Antikythera Mechanism.
Antikythera. I would have never be able to pronounce that.
Oh, I had to look it up.
Antikythera.
Yep. The Antikythera, the first computer. Wild. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed today's episode. If you did, be sure to subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter too for updates when we have possible delays in the show or just to keep up what's going on.
Yeah, to be able to send us topics even for this. We asked for Ponder Sesh topics.
Yeah, if you want
and
to
got
suggest
ideas
stuff,
from you guys,
that's a great avenue to do it.
Yep.
Send us a message and or tweet us or whatever.
Well, on Twitter, we're at Mile Higher Pod. And then
Right.
on Instagram, we're at Mile Higher Podcast.
Right.
So that's the difference with that.
Yep.
But yes, we'll be back next week with a Halloween.
Yeah, the next couple episodes will be very
Spooky.
spooky. For sure.
We're going to have like a spooky background probably.
Yeah.
Go
Yeah.
all out, you know?
We will.
Fuck it up.
But that is it for us today. We hope you guys are having a great day and we will see you next time. Stay safe.
And stay woke.